Yeah, I'm going there.
Skip it up and that up.
The Ouya. The Ouya. The Kickstarter darling of 2012. The independent console that was going to be the haven for indie developers and allow them to have a popular platform that they could get their games onto without any hassle. Even though Sony and Microsoft pretty much have given the same thing. But is the Ouya, after all this time and all the delays and all the controversy, is it worth picking up for $99 US? Well, I'll get into that later. But first, let's take a look at the hardware itself. This is the console. Probably my favorite part of it. I think this thing is gorgeous. I really like the design. I like how small it is and it's very clean. I like the tapered lines on the bottom. They have the Ouya logo right in front there. It's engraved. It's not just put on with paint, so it'll last. Really sweet. Maybe one of the best looking consoles I've ever seen, personally, in my opinion. So design-wise, it looks great. It actually has a fan in it too. I'll explain that in a second, which sounds like, why would you explain a fan? But there is a reason. But let's take a look at the console in terms of power button on top. Really simple design. On the back here, you have USB 2.0. So it only has 8 gigabytes of storage in here. So if you need to add an external hard drive or a flash thumb drive, you could do that. This is HDMI. Ethernet, so if you want to hook it up directly to your router, you can do that. Micro USB and your power. Now, this has a Tegra 3 chipset in it. There's the same chipset that a shit ton of tablets have. One small advantage it has, and that's why I said I talk about the fan, is that they could run the Tegra 3 chipset, which is an NVIDIA-made chipset, which has a quad-core processor and decent graphics, is they could run it at full throttle in here, because it's actually powered from the wall. A lot of times in tablets, if you're running it on battery, they'll scale it back a little bit because of the fact that they want to, conserve battery life and maybe for overheating reasons. This, they can run that Tegra 3 chipset full speed, and they have a fan in there to cool it. You actually hear it if you're playing, especially 3D games. You'll actually hear the fan kick on and blow some air. It's quiet still, but it's just interesting that they could really push the Tegra 3 chipset more than they can in tablets. So that's it. That's the console. Nice looking console. Very good design. That's probably my favorite part about the Ouya. Now, let's put the Ouya over to the side. Ouya. And talk about the controller. Mixed bag with this one, man. A lot of people, the good about the controller. To me, it's comfortable to hold. A lot of people say these wings here are too thick. Maybe because I have fat gorilla hands. You can clearly see I have candy corn fingers. That doesn't bother me. I don't feel that. It feels pretty much just as good to hold ergonomically, and how it meshes into your hand. It feels just as good as like a 360 controller. Face buttons, I think, are all great. I like that this is kind of like a hybrid between the PS3 and 360. You have the offset analog sticks like the 360. You have the convex analog sticks that they don't have the concave like the 360 does. They're actually they're fanned out, and I like that better, so it's easier to do slight movements with it. The buttons on the front, nice good tactile feel. I have no complaints about anything with the face buttons. Then you get up to the top here. Bumpers are okay. These are fine. They feel just as good as the 360 bumpers, but where the Ouya controller fails is these. I don't know what they were thinking, what crack they were smoking, what they were drinking, if they were guzzling moonshine, analog stick, or analog triggers, excuse me. These suck. When I first got the console, these got stuck a lot. You would push it down. I was playing, what shooter was I playing? It's the only one on the Ouya. I'm going to show it with the gameplay footage. But Shadowgun, excuse me. I was playing Shadowgun. These triggers would get stuck. Actually, if you listen, I'm not sure where the mics are on my camcorder. You hear that it squeaks. Hear that? They just feel very cheap. These triggers are mushy. They're unresponsive. I don't know what, it's like the worst design choice for analog triggers on a gamepad ever. Now, in the Ouya's defense, you could actually use you could use either a wired 360 controller, you could plug in the wireless adapter like that you use on PCs with the 360 controller, and connect a wireless 360 controller, and via Bluetooth you can connect the PS3 controller. It's not as smooth as Ouya wants you to think it is. Some of the games work with it great, some don't, but you can do it. But no offense, Ouya, why should I have to depend on another company's controller for their console because yours isn't adequate enough? Another thing too, I almost forgot to mention this, that would have been an epic fail. This is a touchpad here, and it sucks. There's some games that obviously this is meant to, if developers just want to do a cheap, painless port of an Android game, you could play Angry Birds by flicking the bird like that, even though Angry Birds, as far as I know, isn't available on the Ouya yet. But it just is unresponsive. It doesn't, there's nothing here to tell you where the pad begins and ends, so you're looking to move the mouse cursor somewhere and you're like, oh shit, it just stopped moving. Horrible, crappy design with that pad. They could have did better with that. This is the power button here, or not the power button, this is the home button, I mean to say. The other thing too, which is an epic facepalm, is that there's no start and select button. So if you need to pause the game, developers had to kind of do their own. They'd have to make one of these buttons the pause button, or one of these buttons. It just, there was no thought on that either. Okay, yeah, I get it, you have the home button. It's trying to connect to the Ouya now. But I don't know. I'm very mixed on this controller. They could have done a hell of a lot better. It's kind of because they probably were trying to rush this thing out because they were so behind schedule anyway. This almost feels like, to me, a prototype controller. It holds well in the hand. It's not the worst controller I've ever used, but there's some glaring flaws that I cannot forgive it for. So, I don't know. Not a fan of this controller. Not the worst I've ever held, but by far not the best. So, all right. I'm going to go take this bad boy up to my workstation, hook it up via HDMI, capture some gameplay footage, and give you my final thoughts. Alright guys, sorry about the stock music. It's pretty tough to get actual footage from the Ouya. I can't get it from the AverMedia Live Gamer Portable due to HDCP, and the Hauppauge, it doesn't get along with too well. But anyway, this is Vector. You could also get this on iOS and Android, but I have to say this is the smoothest version I've played on the Ouya. The controls are really responsive. Granted, you're only using the left analog stick to do all the maneuvers you would do on a touchscreen, but it's very responsive. It runs the smoothest I've seen this game run. I've tried it on numerous tablets and smartphones, and it works well. I mean, it's not necessary on the Ouya, but it's a really good port, and it works well with the gamepad. Can't complain about it. Beast Boxing for the Ouya. This is another good game. Good controls. The graphics are nice and clean. It's nothing revolutionary or uber special, but it's a lot of fun to play, and it's hard as hell, so you'll get a challenge out of it. I enjoyed this one too. A bit of Fist of Awesome. I think I said that right. This game is okay. They try to do a 16-bit, 8-bit beat 'em up, a hybrid between an SNES Genesis game and a Commodore 64 game. It gets boring and repetitive. The enemies are too easy. I like the graphic style. They did the really hardcore 8-bit meets 16-bit thing, but I've played much better beat 'em ups. Pass on this one. The Amazing Frog is... I don't even know where to begin with this. So you're this really floppy frog that you try to make him stay in the air as long as possible. There's really crude physics. He farts randomly sometimes when he stands back up. Maybe in 1999 this would have been impressive as a physics demo, but what the fuck am I even playing? Yeah, don't go near this. Maybe for 5 minutes it's tolerable. Ugh. Wind Up Night. This is another good one. I like it. It's fun. Graphics are nice and clean. It's simple, easy to pick up and play, and you get to beat the shit out of chickens. What more can you ask for? Shadowgun, a blatant Gears of War ripoff. It's a pretty decent game. It's fun to play on the tablets. The multiplayer app that's available for tablets is a lot of fun. I'm surprised that wasn't on the Ouya. But, again,
it's okay. You could play it with a gamepad on your tablet via Bluetooth, so it's just kind of pointless to be on the Ouya. It looks good, it's one of the prettiest games on this console, but I just feel the whole time like I wish I was playing Gears of War. It's just a generic Gears of War clone that's fine for tablets, but for a console hooked to your big HD TV, this was stupid. It was dumb to even put on the Ouya's App Store. And last but not least is Chrono Blade. It's a fun game, good beat 'em up, love the action in this game. It's a blast to play, but this is also available for free on Facebook. And it's going to be for many other platforms. This version, the frame rate is all over the place. It gets very choppy sometimes. It's not an ideal experience for this game on the Ouya. It's a great game, but there's much better ways to play it. I would pass on the Ouya version. Now it's time for my final thoughts.
So the Ouya, after all is said and done, you've seen the hardware, you've seen gameplay. What do I think of it? Don't buy this thing. Don't buy this thing. Save your $100 for either a PS4, an Xbox One, a Wii U. Stay away. Here is the thing, and you guys know. Matter of fact, I'll have the video link below. I have nothing to hide. I was a champion of this thing. I thought the concept sounded amazing. I thought everything behind it was fantastic. A true indie console that indie developers could shine on. But the problem is, those indie developers can make games for iOS. They can make games for Google Play, which have much bigger install bases. Huge install bases. Now they can make games for PS4. Hell, the Xbox One, every Xbox One is also going to be a dev kit now, which I have yet to talk about. I know you guys want me to talk about that. There's no place for this thing, and there's no reason, there's nothing that could justify purchasing it when you could get a tablet from Walmart that has Tegra 3, HDMI out, and Bluetooth, so you could hook up a Bluetooth controller, you could get for $150. Which if you buy one extra controller for this, which is always the defense of the Ouya, you're at the same price. So 2 controllers and this console will cost as much as that tablet, and that tablet is not only is it a gaming console, which will pretty much be just as capable as this, it's also a tablet you could take with you anywhere. So there's really no value to this. There really isn't. Now, a lot of people are going to say to me too, but Rich, there's emulators you could buy for it that, you could use it as a portable emulator box. Think about what you're saying. Emulators that you can buy. Want to know where else you can get emulators at? For free, I might add. I forgot to mention that. You could get emulators for your smartphone that run very well. For your computer, also for free, that run flawlessly. You could get emulators for your tablet. They will cost you on your tablet, or you could sideload them for free, but you could get them on your much more versatile and functional tablet. And you could get emulators for free on your laptop. You get my point? You see what I'm saying, folks? They don't even have, it would be cool if they had Hulu officially released for this, or Netflix. I know some people side-loaded Netflix, and it just runs terribly. The video looks like you got it off a webcam from 2003. It was an excellent, on paper, it was a beautiful idea. It was romantic, but I cannot justify telling anybody, even if you're a real tech head and you want to hack the crap out of this thing, save your money. Save it for a next-gen console. Spend an extra $50 and buy that tablet from Walmart. If I remember, I'll have a link below in the description. I appreciate what they tried to do, but save your money. This thing is not worth it. As a matter of fact, I think after I'm done with this video, this thing is going up for sale. I have no use for it. Anyway, folks, this is Rich of Review Tech USA. Hope you enjoyed this review. Make sure to rate, comment, favorite, and subscribe. And as always, thank you for supporting my channel. I'm sorry, Ouya. You tried.